The mansion was supposed to be a fortress, a sanctuary for the billionaire Julian Harrington and his carefully curated life. But tonight, it had become a labyrinth of danger. Every corridor hid a trap, every shadow concealed a threat, and at the center of it all stood his brother, Elias, a man driven by jealousy, vengeance, and a twisted sense of control. Julian had always believed wealth and power could shield him from the world's dangers. He was wrong, because the one person he could not protect, Amara, the woman who had stolen his heart, was now the very leverage Elias was using to destroy him. As monitors flickered with live feeds of explosives rigged throughout the mansion and the countdown to disaster ticked mercilessly, Julian realized the truth. He would have to choose between his empire and the woman he loved. And someone was watching, waiting to see which choice would break him first. Before diving into the gripping details, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more intriguing stories. Amara Reyes never expected her life to change when she accepted the housekeeping job at the Harrington estate. She needed the work, her mother's medical bills weren't going to pay themselves, and the billionaire who owned the mansion was said to travel so often that she would barely ever see him. But on her first day, she collided with him, literally, while carrying a basket of freshly folded shirts. The clothes flew into the air, landing on the marble floor, and she froze in horror. I'm so sorry, she stammered, scrambling to gather the garments. Julian Harrington, the youngest tech billionaire in the country, looked down at her, not with anger, but with something she couldn't quite decipher. Amusement? Curiosity? Relax, he said gently, kneeling to help her. It's not every day someone crashes into me before breakfast. Amara blinked. Billionaires weren't supposed to kneel. They weren't supposed to smile softly, or smell like cedar and something she could only describe as expensive. But Julian did, and something inside her shifted. Over the next few weeks, Julian found more and more excuses to be at home. He appeared in rooms Amara was cleaning, lingered in the kitchen while she organized the pantry, or sat on the staircase pretending to scroll through emails as she dusted shelves nearby. He asked about her life, her family, her dreams, her worries. Nobody had asked her things like that in years. And somewhere in those small, quiet moments, they fell. Not all at once, but slowly, like dusk fading into night. Julian began leaving small things for her to find. Her favorite tea stocked in the kitchen, noise-canceling headphones after he noticed she got headaches from vacuuming, a sketchbook because she once mentioned she used to draw. He had everything money could buy, but Amara realized she was the one offering him something he'd never truly had, sincerity. Then came the night of the charity gala. Julian descended the staircase in a tailored suit, expecting to leave alone. But when he saw Amara tidying the foyer, he extended his hand. Come with me. Her breath caught. Julian, I can't. I work for you. Not tonight, he whispered. Tonight, you're someone I want the world to meet. Against every rule and every whisper of doubt, she let him lead her into the glittering ballroom. People stared. A billionaire had arrived with his maid, holding her hand as though she belonged. Cameras flashed. Guests murmured in disbelief. Socialites glared. But Julian didn't care. He guided her to the dance floor, pulling her close, his voice low in her ear. Let them talk. I'm done hiding. And then, right there, under the chandelier, he kissed her. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Amara's world spun. Everything was perfect, until a security guard rushed to Julian's side, whispering something that drained the color from his face. Julian stiffened, turning slowly toward Amara. We need to leave. Now. Her heart thudded. Julian, what's wrong? He swallowed hard, eyes filled with a fear she had never seen in him. It's about your mother. Amara froze. My mother? What happened? Julian hesitated, jaw tight. Amara, you're not going to like what I'm about to tell you. Amara's knees nearly buckled. Her mother, her fragile, gentle mother, was the one part of her life she couldn't bear to lose. Julian tightened his grip on her hand. Come with me, he said again, more urgently this time. He guided her out of the ballroom, past a sea of whispers and camera flashes, into a dimly lit corridor where the music faded into a distant hum. Amara could barely breathe. Julian, tell me what happened, she demanded, her voice trembling. He exhaled shakily. I received a call from the hospital. Your mother, she collapsed. Amara's heart dropped. Collapsed? But she was stable this morning. I made her breakfast before I left. I know, Julian murmured. And that's not the worst part. Her eyes widened with dread. What do you mean? Julian glanced up and down the empty hallway as if someone might be listening. They found something that wasn't supposed to be in her system. Amara felt the world tilt. What are you talking about? Julian lowered his voice even further. They think someone tampered with her medication. A cold, paralyzing silence settled between them. Amara's pulse hammered. That doesn't make any sense. Who would do that? And why? Julian placed both hands on her shoulders, steadying her. Because whoever it was left a message. Her breath hitched. A message? He nodded. At the hospital. Right on the clipboard at the foot of her bed. Amara stared at him, horror creeping up her spine. Julian, what did it say? Julian swallowed, his jaw clenching. It said, tell your billionaire to back off. Amara's entire body went cold. This isn't just about you anymore, Julian whispered. Someone is watching us. Someone who doesn't want us together. Her mind raced, her job, Julian's world, her mother's fragile state, everything suddenly tangled in a dark, dangerous web she never knew existed. We have to go to the hospital, she said, forcing her voice to stay steady. Julian shook his head. I've already arranged a private security team there. For your mom. For you. Amara blinked. For me? Why? But then she noticed it. The faintest shadow at the end of the corridor. A figure. Watching them. Unmoving. When she looked again, they were gone. Her breath caught in her throat. Julian stepped in front of her protectively. We need to get you somewhere safe immediately. But, Julian... He cut her off, voice low and intense. Amara, there's something else I haven't told you. She stared at him, fear and confusion twisting inside her. What now? Julian hesitated, really hesitated, for the first time since she'd met him. Your mother wasn't the only one who was targeted tonight. Amara's breath stalled in her chest. What do you mean? She whispered, each word barely forming. Her heart pounded so loudly she could feel it in her throat. Julian's expression was grave, far too calm for the terror flickering behind his eyes. Someone came after me as well, he said quietly. Right here. At this gala. Amara shook her head. But how? When? Julian exhaled slowly, rubbing the back of his neck. Right before I came down the stairs. There was a note taped to the inside of my dressing room mirror. I didn't want to ruin the night for you, so I kept it to myself. What did it say? He met her gaze with a heaviness she had never seen in him. She doesn't belong in your world. Walk away before she disappears. A tremor ran through her. Disappears? Julian reached for her hand again, holding it as if she were the last steady thing in his life. Amara, whoever this is, they're not just trying to scare us. They're warning us. Threatening us. And they've already proven they'll cross lines. Tears burned at the edges of her eyes, but she blinked them back. Why would anyone care? I'm nobody. I clean houses, your house. Who would target us over this? Julian's jaw clenched. Because in my world, jealousy and greed are currency. And someone thinks being with you makes me vulnerable. He lifted her chin gently. But I won't let anything happen to you. I swear it. Before she could respond, a sudden crackle echoed through the corridor. Both of them froze. It sounded like speakers. Static. Feedback from a microphone. Amara's skin prickled. What was that? The gala music had stopped. Some kind of announcement was beginning. Voices murmured in confusion from behind the ballroom doors. Then a distorted voice boomed over the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed the show so far. The tone was mocking, cold, purposefully altered. Julian's eyes widened. No, this isn't possible. Amara's hands began to shake. The voice continued. Our dear host, Mr. Harrington, seems to think he can rewrite the rules. That he can love whoever he chooses. A mix of gasps and whispers filled the ballroom. Amara's mouth went dry. "Julian," she whispered. "They're talking about us." The voice laughed softly, a chilling, distorted sound that echoed off the marble walls. "But love has consequences." Julian pulled Amara closer, shielding her with his body. Security rushed down the corridor toward them, but Julian held up a hand sharply, signaling them to stop. Every instinct in him screamed that something was terribly wrong. The voice grew quieter, darker, almost intimate. "Julian, check your pocket." Amara's stomach dropped. Slowly, with trembling fingers, Julian reached into the inner pocket of his suit jacket. His face paled instantly. "What is it?" Amara asked, panic rising. "Julian, what's in your pocket?" He didn't answer at first. He simply opened his palm. Inside was a small, silver USB drive. One he had never seen before. Etched into its surface was Amara's name. Her full name. And underneath it, a single word. "Choose." Amara staggered backward, breathless. "What does that even mean?" Julian's voice was barely audible. "I think someone wants me to choose between you and something else." "Choose what?" she demanded. Julian lifted his eyes, filled with dread. "My company." Amara stared at him, horror settling in her bones. Because if Julian chose her over his multi-billion-dollar empire, the entire world would turn against them. And whoever was behind this clearly wasn't finished. A final message echoed over the speakers, dripping with menace. "Let the game begin." The line cut. The ballroom plunged into terrified silence. Amara felt Julian's hand tighten around hers. "Julian," she whispered, "what do we do now?" He met her gaze, fearful, determined, and completely in love. "Now," he said softly, "we find out who just declared war on us." The word war echoed in Amara's mind long after Julian said it. The music was gone. The murmurs had died. The glittering ballroom, once full of elegance and charm, had fallen into an eerie, suffocating silence. Security escorted guests out. Staff whispered nervously. No one dared approach Julian or Amara as they stood in the corridor, holding the USB like it was something radioactive. Julian turned to his head of security. "Get everyone out. Lock the building down. No one leaves unless I approve it." The guard nodded sharply. "Yes, sir." Amara watched as dozens of people in gowns and suits were ushered out, all glancing back at her like she was the reason everything had collapsed. Her stomach twisted. "Julian," she said softly, "this is because of me." He faced her instantly. Don't even finish that sentence." But she had to say it. "If you weren't seen with me tonight, none of this would have happened. Your mother wouldn't be in danger. Your company." He caught her face gently in his hands. "Listen to me." His voice was a firm whisper. "You didn't cause this. Whoever is behind this is someone who wants to control me, threaten me, and they think going after you will break me." His thumb brushed her cheek. "But they're wrong." Amara swallowed hard, trying to steady her breathing. Julian looked at the USB, jaw tight. "There's only one way to know what they want or what they think they have on us." Amara grabbed his hand. "Wait, what if it's dangerous? A virus? Something that could destroy your system?" Julian shook his head. "It's not going into my system. Not yet." He turned to his security. "Bring me a clean laptop. Offline. No network access." Within minutes, a security agent returned with an older laptop. Julian led Amara into a private room off the corridor, dark, quiet, smelling faintly of leather and old books. He closed the door behind them and set the laptop on the table. Amara stood right beside him, heart hammering. Julian inserted the USB. The screen flickered once. Twice. A black window opened. Then white text appeared, line by line, as if typed by an invisible hand. "Hello, Julian." Amara clutched his arm. Another line. "Since you won't listen to reason, let me show you why she can't stay in your life." Julian frowned. "What is this?" More text. The truth. A loading bar appeared, revealing in 3, 2, a video file opened. Amara's breath froze. It was her mother's hospital room. But not now. Oh, this was from months ago. Her mother sat on the edge of the bed, talking to someone off camera. She looked healthier, stronger. Anxiety pulled at Amara. Her mother hadn't looked like that in a long time. Then a voice, distorted but oddly familiar, spoke from behind the camera. "We had a deal." Amara's blood turned to ice. Her mother looked ashamed. "I didn't think you meant this far. You took the money." Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "I did it for my daughter. For her future." The voice grew colder. "If she ends up with him, everything falls apart. You know what's at stake." Amara's hand flew to her mouth. No, this has to be manipulated. My mother would never." She couldn't. But the video continued mercilessly. "Keep her away from him," the voice ordered, "or we expose everything." Her mother nodded, defeated. Julian paused the video immediately. Amara staggered backward as if slapped. "This can't be real," she whispered, shaking her head violently. "Someone edited it. They must have. My mother would never make a deal with someone like that. She wouldn't lie to me. She wouldn't." Her voice cracked. Julian grabbed her shoulders, steady and firm. "Amara, we don't know the full story yet. This could be fake. Anything." But she wasn't listening. She pulled away, breath shuddering, eyes filling. "Julian, what if it is real?" He stepped toward her. "Then we find out why." But before he could reach her, the laptop chimed. Another message appeared on the black screen. Step 1, doubt. Then another. Step 2, divide. And finally, the last chilling line. Step 3 begins now. A loud crash sounded somewhere outside the door. Both of them spun toward it. Julian's voice dropped to a low, deadly whisper. "Stay behind me." Because someone had forced their way into the locked corridor. And they weren't coming to talk. A second crash. The sound of wood splintering. "We're not alone," Julian muttered, low and urgent. Before Amara could say another word, the door was thrown open with a violent force, slamming against the wall. A man in a black suit, hard, cold eyes, and a face she didn't recognize, stepped into the room. "Mr. Harrington," the man said, his tone clipped and professional. "Time's up." Julian didn't flinch, but his jaw tightened. "You're the one behind this." The man smirked. "Behind what? Behind the truth? Behind what's best for everyone?" Amara's head was spinning, but she couldn't keep quiet. "Who are you? What do you want with us?" The man ignored her, turning his gaze back to Julian. "You think this is all just some game, don't you? That you can have everything, everyone, all on your terms? That you can love a woman like her?" His eyes flicked to Amara, his stare sharp, as though she were something filthy under his shoe. "You think she'll be the one to change you? That she'll make you better?" Julian's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it now. "You know nothing about her. About me. About us." The man smiled coldly. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm dealing with. You both think you're in control. But the game's already been set, and you've already lost." Suddenly, the man stepped forward, and Amara instinctively took a step back. But Julian was there, placing himself between her and the intruder with a protective ferocity that made her heart clench. "Stay behind me," he whispered again, but his voice held a deep, dangerous calm. The man's smirk widened as he reached into his jacket pocket. "It's not just a matter of control, Mr. Harrington. It's about power. Your world doesn't change unless someone forces it to." He pulled out a sleek, silver phone and tossed it onto the table in front of them. Amara felt her pulse quicken as it slid across the surface, its screen lighting up. "I think you'll want to watch this," the man said, his eyes glinting with malicious delight. Julian didn't move to pick it up immediately, but his eyes narrowed. He could already guess what was coming next. "What's this?" Julian asked, his voice low. The man gave a small shrug, as if it didn't matter. "A little reminder. A video to give you perspective." Reluctantly, Julian reached for the phone and hit play. On the screen, a grainy, dark image flickered to life. At first, it was just a blur, but as the video focused, Amara's blood ran cold. It was a recording of her mother's hospital room. And there, sitting in the dimly lit space, was her mother, talking to someone. The same voice from the previous video. "I've done what you asked." Her mother's voice trembled, the words shaky. "I've kept my distance. But I don't know how much longer I can." Amara froze, staring at the screen. Her breath caught in her throat. Her mother's face, her eyes full of guilt and fear, was the last thing she ever expected to see. Not after everything. Why would she be saying that? The video continued. The camera zoomed in on a figure standing in the shadows behind her mother. A tall man, his face hidden, but his voice unmistakably familiar. "You don't have a choice," the man's voice rasped. "If you want her to survive, you'll do as we say." "I'm doing it for her. For Amar. She deserves more than what she has." The man's voice hardened. "Then you'll stay away from her. You'll never speak to her about any of this. You'll let her think everything is fine. And if you ever even think of contacting Julian Harrington again, we'll make sure that everything you've built falls apart." Her mother nodded, defeated. And then the video cut out. Amara could barely breathe. Her legs felt like they were going to give out from underneath her. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. This isn't true. My mother would never say that." But the room felt colder, more suffocating. The evidence was staring her in the face, impossible to ignore. Julian, who had been silent through the entire video, finally spoke, his voice thick with fury. "You've been using her to control me." His words were tight, restrained, full of disgust. "You used my feelings for her against me, didn't you? You set this all up." The man nodded. "We did what was necessary. And now you'll see what happens when you don't play by the rules. You're nothing but a pawn, Julian. And so is she." Amara's hands trembled as she took a step toward Julian. She wanted to ask him to make it stop, to make sense of everything, but her mind was too foggy with the truth. The betrayal. The fear. Suddenly, the man's tone shifted. "Step 3 begins now." Julian's eyes darted to him. "What does that mean?" But before the man could answer, a loud bang echoed from somewhere down the hallway. The sound of a door being kicked in. A new voice, deep and commanding, called out from outside the room. "Julian!" The security team, or at least someone from it, had arrived. Julian's expression darkened, his eyes meeting Amara's one last time. "Amara, we have to go. Now." The hallway exploded with noise, shouts, heavy boots pounding across marble floors, the crackle of radios. The intruder's smirk faded. He flicked a glance toward the door, then back at Julian with a cold, calculated calm. "You're out of time," he said. Julian stepped forward, positioning himself between Amara and the man once more. "You're not leaving this room." A shadow crossed the intruder's face. "I already have." Before either of them could react, he reached behind him, pressed something on the back of his belt, a tiny silver device clicked, and in an instant the man's image shimmered, distorted. A hologram. The real man wasn't even there. Amara gasped. What?" The hologram smiled one last time as its edges flickered. "You can't stop what's already in motion, Julian. And you can't protect her." The projection vanished. The door burst open at that exact moment, security rushing in with weapons drawn. Julian didn't waste a second. "He was a projection," he barked. "Lock down every exit and sweep the estate. He's here somewhere, I want him found." "Sir," the guards replied, scattering. Julian turned to Amar. And the moment he saw her face, pale, trembling, devastated, his anger softened into something fiercer. More protective. "Hey!" He cupped her face gently. "Look at me." Her eyes were glassy lost. Did she know? Was she forced? Was she? She broke off, emotion strangling her voice. Julian pulled her into his arms. "We don't know. And we're not assuming anything until we have the truth." She pressed her forehead against his chest, gripping his jacket like it was the only solid thing left in her world. "They used her," she whispered. "They used me." "No," Julian said firmly. "They underestimated you. They underestimated us." But even as he said it, another guard rushed into the room, breathless. Sir, we've secured the lower levels, but you need to come with me. Now. Julian stiffened. What is it? The guard hesitated, never a good sign. It's the surveillance room. Someone hacked the feeds. All of them. Amara's stomach twisted. What does that mean? The guard swallowed. It means whoever's doing this, they've been watching every room in your mansion for weeks. Maybe months. Julian's jaw clenched. Take us there. He grabbed Amara's hand, and they followed the guard through a series of dim service corridors, deeper into the estate. The air felt heavier the farther they went. Finally, they reached a steel door slashed with deep gashes, as if someone had pried it open with force. The man on the screen smirked. Having fun with your maid? Julian froze in place. His hand tightened around Amara's so hard it almost hurt. Amara whispered, barely forming the words, Julian, who is that? His voice shook for the first time since she'd met him. My brother, Elias. Elias's eyes gleamed with something dark. Something vindictive. You took everything from me, Julian. Julian swallowed hard. Who? Disappeared. You cut ties. You said you wanted nothing to do with the company. Elias laughed coldly. And now I want it all back. The screen flickered, zooming in. But you made one mistake. His voice dropped to a whisper. You fell in love with her. Amara felt chills run through her veins. On the screen, Elias leaned closer. So now you choose, Julian. The same word etched on the USB. Your empire, or the girl. The screen cut to black. The room plunged into silence. Amara felt her knees weaken. Julian turned toward her slowly, conflicted, furious, terrified. He reached for her, but the lights suddenly went out. All at once. Pitch black. Amara grasped for Julian in the dark. Julian. His hand found hers. And then, a voice whispered from somewhere in the room. Time's up. The darkness was absolute. No lights, no hum from the monitors, just the pounding of Amara's heart and the shallow hiss of Julian's breathing next to her. Stay close, he murmured, his hand clutching hers like a lifeline. A soft click echoed in the shadows. The faint glow of a phone screen illuminated the figure of a man stepping forward. Looking for me? Julian's voice was low, dangerous, ready to strike. Amara froze. The man, tall, broad, familiar, stepped into the weak light. Her stomach turned as realization hit. It was Elias. Julian's brother. His smile was slow, predatory. Didn't think you'd fall in love so quickly, little brother. That complicates things, doesn't it? Julian's jaw tightened. I warned you to stay away. You're done here, Elias. Elias laughed, a cold, empty sound. Done? Oh, Julian, we're just getting started. You see, someone has to teach you a lesson in control. And what better way than to target her? Amara's grip on Julian's hand tightened. What do you mean, target me? Why me? Elias stepped closer, the faint phone light reflecting off his sharp features. Because she's the one you care about. She's the one who makes you vulnerable. And a vulnerable billionaire is very easy to manipulate. Julian pulled her behind him, protectively. She's not a pawn, Elias. Not ever. Elias tilted his head, amused. Oh, but she is. And soon you'll have to choose. Love or your empire. Your choice, Julian. Choose wisely. Before Julian could respond, a sudden metallic click sounded from the ceiling. Amara's breath caught. Wait, what's that? She whispered. Julian's eyes narrowed. It's a trap. Just as he spoke, the room's floor beneath them vibrated violently. A hidden panel snapped open, revealing a pit lined with sharp steel spikes. Elias's voice rang out, calm, commanding. Step too far and she falls. Step closer and everything you've built disappears. Amara's heart stopped. She looked up at Julian, eyes wide with fear. Julian, what do we do? Julian's hand tightened around hers. His voice was steady, unwavering, though his eyes blazed with intensity. We fight. Together. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the small silver USB, the one that had started this nightmare. This might be the only way to turn this around, he whispered. Amara stared at it. What is it? I don't know. But it's tied to him, to Elias, to all of this. If we don't use it, we might not get another chance. Elias laughed again, low and menacing. Decide quickly, Julian, or the next choice will be hers. Amara's breath caught. She could see Julian's jaw clenching, his mind racing. He stared at her, and in that moment she saw everything. The love, the desperation, the fear, and the determination that made her fall for him in the first place. Amara, he whispered, I promise. I will choose you. I'll find a way. But you have to trust me. Her hands shook as she nodded, her tears catching the faint light. I trust you, she whispered. The USB glowed faintly in Julian's hand. He slid it into the old laptop on the nearby table, fingers trembling. The screen flickered to life. Lines of code ran faster than the eye could follow, and a countdown appeared. 3 minutes. Julian's eyes widened. 3 minutes. Amara clutched his arm. 3 minutes for what? A deep, distorted voice echoed from the speakers above, chilling every bone in their bodies. Fail and she dies. Succeed, and we'll see if love is worth more than power. Amara gasped. Julian's eyes met hers. Determined. Fierce. Unyielding. Hold on, he said. Because we're not losing her, not tonight. The countdown continued. Tick, tick, tick. And the room was suddenly alive with a new threat, one neither of them had fully anticipated. The countdown blinked on the screen. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Julian's hand tightened around Amara's. Listen carefully. I need you calm. No sudden moves, do you understand? Amara nodded, heart hammering in her chest. Every instinct screamed that danger was closer than ever. The laptop screen flickered, and suddenly a series of encrypted files appeared. Julian's eyes darted over them. It's a control system, he rigged explosives. All over the mansion. And the only override is this software. Amara's breath caught. Explosives? Julian, we have to stop him. Julian nodded grimly. I know, but he's watching everything. We need to be precise and fast. He typed furiously, bypassing security protocols, fingers flying over the keyboard. Each second the countdown ticked down felt like an eternity. 1 minute and 30 seconds. A faint mechanical hum filled the air. Amara realized the pit from earlier, the spikes, the trap, it was activating. Somewhere in the mansion, other mechanisms were moving. Suddenly, a siren blared. The lights flickered back on. Amara could see that some of the security guards were engaged in hand-to-hand combat with masked intruders. Julian's brother, Elias, was nowhere in sight, but his presence hung over them like a shadow. Julian kept typing, sweat beading at his forehead. Almost there, almost there. Amara stepped closer, gripping his arm. Julian, you'll fix this, won't you? He looked at her, eyes blazing. I will. You're not going to lose your life tonight. Not while I still breathe. The laptop chimed. A new window popped up. System override. Confirm action? Julian hesitated, taking a deep breath. This is it. Once I hit enter, we either take control, or we trigger every trap in the mansion at once. Amara swallowed hard, tears in her eyes. Do it. I trust you. His finger hovered over the trackpad, then slammed down. A loud mechanical clank echoed from every floor of the mansion. The countdown froze. 47 seconds. Julian exhaled sharply. I think we did it. The traps are disabled. But before they could breathe, the overhead speakers crackled. Elias's distorted voice boomed, icy and calm. Clever, but do you really think that's the end? Check behind you. Amara spun around. Elias stepped from the shadows, holding a gun, not at Julian, but directly at her. His smirk was cruel. Time to make your choice, little brother. Power or her life? Julian's heart pounded. He stepped forward, shielding Amara with his body. You won't touch her, Elias. Not while I'm alive. Elias laughed, low and menacing. Oh, Julian, you've always been predictable. And predictable men are easy to break. Amara's breath caught. Julian, what do we do? Julian's eyes locked on hers, unwavering. Trust me, no matter what happens, I'm not letting her die. Elias raised the gun, a cruel smile playing on his lips. And just as the countdown blinked 10 seconds, a loud bang echoed through the room. Elias staggered backward, clutching his shoulder. Amara looked up, stunned. Security had fired. Julian seized the moment, pulling her behind him. Move! But as they ran toward the stairwell, a chilling laugh echoed through the mansion, deep and familiar. You may have stopped the traps, Julian, but the real game is only beginning. Amara's heart raced as Julian gritted his teeth, pulling her into the shadows of the stairwell. They had survived, for now. But one thing was terrifyingly clear: Elias wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. Julian's grip on Amara's hand was iron-strong as they crept down the shadowed stairwell. Every step echoed like a gunshot in the quiet mansion. We can't let him see us, Julian whispered. He knows the house better than anyone. If we're caught, it's over. Amara's heart pounded so violently she was sure Elias could hear it. Where are we going? How do we stop him? Julian didn't answer immediately. He pressed a finger to his lips and pointed toward a service door leading into the basement, one that even Amara hadn't noticed before. This leads to the old security control room. If we can get there, I can track him, isolate him, and, hopefully, cut him off. Amara nodded, swallowing hard. I trust you. The basement was dark, cold, and smelled of dust and machinery. Julian activated a small flashlight, revealing rows of old monitors, some flickering, others dead. He plugged in the silver USB from earlier. The screen blinked to life, showing a network map of the mansion. There, Julian whispered, pointing to a red dot moving rapidly through the east wing. Elias. He's armed and dangerous, but he's alone. For now. Amara's stomach twisted. So, we go after him? Julian's jaw tightened. Yes. But carefully. He knows this house inside out. If we make one wrong move, he let the words hang. Amara squeezed his hand. Then we make the right move. They moved silently through the service corridors, Julian leading, Amara close behind. He whispered instructions, guiding her past traps and pressure plates that Elias had undoubtedly set up earlier. Finally, they reached a long hallway. At the far end, a faint light glowed behind a partially open door. Julian held up a hand. That's him. Elias stood in the middle of the room, his back to them, surveying a series of monitors showing cameras from every corner of the mansion. He didn't notice them at first. Julian's pulse quickened. He motioned for Amara to stay low. Slowly, silently, he crept closer. You really thought you could hide from me? Elias's voice was calm, almost amused. He didn't turn around. I've been waiting for this moment. Julian stepped into the doorway, revealing himself. This ends tonight, Elias. Elias finally turned, a smirk curling across his lips. Little brother. And the maid. Together, of course. Predictable as always. Amara stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. Stop. This has gone too far. Whatever you want from him, leave us out of it. Elias laughed. You're a pawn in this game. Don't delude yourself. Julian chose you the moment he laid eyes on you. And that gives me power. Julian's eyes blazed. Not anymore. I'm done playing your game. Elias's smirk faltered slightly. But the fun hasn't even started yet. Suddenly, Elias lunged for a hidden panel on the wall. Julian reacted instinctively, grabbing a nearby metal rod and blocking him. Sparks flew as metal hit metal. Amara's heart leapt. Julian! He glared at Elias. Step away from the triggers. This isn't a game anymore. Elias chuckled darkly. Oh, but it is, Julian. And it's one where only one of us can walk away. Before Julian could respond, Elias pulled a small detonator from his pocket. Amara gasped. Julian's eyes darted to the USB in his hand, the one that might still hold the key to overriding everything. Amara, he whispered, urgency lacing his voice. Get ready to run. On my mark, no matter what, don't stop running. Amara nodded, fear gripping her. Elias raised the detonator. "Say goodbye, little brother." Julian's eyes narrowed. "Not today." And with a swift motion, he slammed the USB into the wall terminal, sending a surge of electricity through the room. The lights flickered. The monitors exploded with static. Alarms blared. Elias shrieked in surprise as the detonator short-circuited in his hand. Sparks flew, and he stumbled backward. Julian grabbed Amara, pulling her toward the emergency exit. "No. Run." They burst into the hallway, alarms echoing behind them. But as Julian looked back, Amara caught the flash of Elias's shadow disappearing into a hidden passageway. Julian's teeth clenched. He's not done. He'll be back, and next time, he won't hesitate. Amara clung to him, heart racing. "Then we'll be ready. Together." Julian pulled her close, brushing her hair from her face. "Together," he echoed, lips hovering near hers in a fleeting, desperate kiss. But deep down, both of them knew this was only the beginning. Elias had vanished, but the real war for love, loyalty, and power was just about to ignite. The night air bit at Amara's skin as Julian guided her through the hidden service corridors to the estate's underground garage. Every shadow seemed to hide another threat. "Where are we going?" Amara asked, breathless. Julian didn't answer. He had his eyes fixed on the USB, now plugged into a small laptop he had stashed in his jacket. The screen displayed a live schematic of the mansion, showing Elias's movements through hidden passages. "He's planning something bigger," Julian muttered. "Those traps, they were just the beginning. He wants to take everything I've built, and if he can't have me, he wants to destroy me and you." Amara swallowed, her fingers tightening on his arm. "Then we stop him. Together." Julian's gaze softened for a fraction of a second. "I promised you, Amara. I will protect you. No matter what." In the garage, Julian revealed a sleek black car hidden behind stacks of equipment. "This isn't just a car. It's our best shot at intercepting him before he hits the city. Elias isn't just targeting the mansion, he's planning something bigger." Amara's eyes widened. "Bigger? What do you mean?" Julian didn't answer immediately. He started the engine. The dashboard glowed with surveillance feeds and GPS tracking. "Elias has access to my company's network and my private assets. If he goes public with this, he could bring my entire empire down and drag you into it." Amara's stomach churned. "Then we stop him before he can do it. We can't wait." Julian nodded. "Exactly. Buckle up." The car roared to life, tires squealing as they sped into the night. The mansion receded behind them, but the shadow of Elias loomed ever larger. Within an hour, Julian had traced Elias to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The place was surrounded by high walls, cameras, and motion sensors. Elias had clearly anticipated pursuit. Julian turned to Amar. "Listen to me. This is dangerous. We don't know how many traps he's set up, and he's smart, smarter than anyone we've dealt with. But we have something he doesn't, each other.